Hey everyone, I'm Swathi and I have Rohit here with me. And today we are going to talk about both our episodes after we came out of the ICUs and HDUs. And I think it's going to be a start for us talking about, what we were learning, what we had to relearn, and what we were doing every single day after that, and how we were going ahead and overcoming many, many difficulties that we were facing. So, first, we'll talk to Rohit and listen to him about his rehab in 2009 and what all happened.
Thank you, Swati. A warm welcome to everybody over there. And in this episode, I would also wish to share about my experience after the hospitalization, and I was sent to a rehab, Swati, and also like to know what happened to you after you got out of the HDU. So, after I was fit to get out of the hospital, the doctor had come up to me, my uncle, and the doctor were discussing. I mean, they too were discussing, and I was just trying to be a part of the discussion. I could understand, but what they were trying to say, but I couldn't respond back. So apparently, all that I could hear was rehab, Rohit, rehab. That's it. And my uncle was a bit precarious about it, and because I think me and my uncle actually went to a rehab 10 years back, I guess. We went to see someone in a rehab because I knew that the word rehab is associated with somebody who's going through difficulties. And it kind of got me into a zone of fear wherein I was like, okay, who is going to rehab? Me? And I indirectly started hinting towards my uncle, like, me? Is it me who's going to the rehab? Because out of nowhere, this fear set in me. Because I was wondering, why should I go to a rehab? What have I done? It's like, that fear that comes into you. You just think of rehab in most movies that you've watched in life, or you've heard about it, you've read about it, rehab. And I was scared. And now I could actually feel the reality of the entire situation. Because, once you are in the hospital, you had so many people to take care of you, and they'll say, yeah, it's fine, you'll get back. But when the discussion about rehab was happening, it was just me, my uncle, and the doctor in the room. And I was like trying to tell my uncle in my native language, like, look, I don't want to go. Even before the doctor could tell me something, I was telling my uncle, no, please don't take me there. I want to go back home. I want to go back home. And I was trying to talk to him in such a way that he got annoyed at me. He was like, be quiet, let me finish talking to the doctor, and only then you speak. And so I became quiet, and that discussion was going on. So then again I tried to again touch my uncle and say, look, please, no. And then the doctor told me, like, what is it that you don't want to go to a rehab? Then I said, like, no, I don't want to go. Then the doctor and my uncle looked at each other, and okay, the doctor said, fine, Rohit, I'll not send you to a rehab, just answer a few questions. So he asked me certain things. The most basic question he asked me, like, tell me your full name, which I was not able to. Then he asked me my date of birth. I was not able to. All I could say was it's in June. So I was like unable to answer any of those questions. And then the doctor looked at my uncle. See, that's why I want him to go to a rehab. So my uncle told me, Rohit, we'll go there, stay for 2 or 3 days, see what happens. If this is an improvement, we will stay there. If not, immediately I'll take you away. We'll go directly back to India directly, okay? So just don't say no to everything. Because, Swati, it was my habits from childhood. Like, it's an easy thing for me to protect myself and say no to everything. So my uncle knows me pretty well with regards to my decision making. So he decided to go to the rehab. And I was not happy with my doctor for that one single thing.
Yeah, I have a lot of people in my life who just say no without reason. Good to know you're also like that.
I'll take that as a compliment. So yeah, I decided to go to the rehab. By the way, out after your HDU, were you also in a hurry to go back home, or you're like waiting where your doctor will send you, or like you are ready in your mind, like, okay, wherever he sends, I will go? Because I did not enjoy saying a yes to a rehab.
But it did you so much good, right? To go to that rehab. So that's important. In my case, Rohit, very naturally after the HDU, they took me directly to the ward. And I mean the room. And I was there. I mean, I didn't question this. I didn't question that, why am I in the room? I didn't question anything on the first day. Uh, because I was just so exhausted, because the trip from the HTO to the room was so tiring. Although I wasn't doing anything, people were lifting me, putting me on the bed, all that. But it was still very exhausting seeing all that. It was very funny because I was enjoying this, all the lights going. And for some reason, I was thinking about films, and I was thinking about how patients are taken in on hospital beds to their room or towards the ICU. And it was very interesting. And I still remember feeling all those things. And so there was a ramp, and we went down the ramp, and then we went up the ramp, and then we finally reached the room. Then I was on the bed. So that was it. And on that day, actually, for me, the rehab was about physiotherapy more than anything else. So for the first day, they just kind of wired me back, and I was there in the room. That's it.
So, were you questioned certain things just to check whether your memory was properly there, or was it just physical rehabilitation?
So in the earlier episode, I did say that they kept asking me questions. These questions were primarily about my health. So I'm not sure if they were trying to gauge whether I had a memory problem or not. But because I was saying the same thing again and again and again, and I was answering things like, did you have COVID? Do you have diabetes? Is your diabetes regulated? Do you have a BP problem? Because when you came in, you had high BP. So I was just on a yes, no. At some point, I do remember somebody asking me, what's your full name? And I did say it. And I was the one asking them, what date is it? Because I was very curious. Also because there was a project lined up in my office back then, and I was worried about the project. That's work. So, for the lack of better word, work is worship.
Swathi, how many days were you in the ward, and what all was happening there? And I'd also like to know which all type of doctors came to see you.
So I had 7 days, like I had told you, in the hospital. So I remember each day discreetly. On the 4th day in the morning, first the nutritionist came, then the physiotherapist came. My doctor, the neurophysicist, he paid a visit. And they were just checking in my fingers movements again. They were asking me if I can wriggle my toe. This was the first time in the room they asked me, and I couldn't. I really tried. I tried and tried, but I just couldn't. And my dad was there with me, and he was like, it's okay, it'll come back, no worries. And then the physiotherapist told me, now we're going to make you stand. Now I'm going to be standing after 4 days, right? This is the 4th day.
This is one thing which was one of the major factors wherein they also wanted me to go to a rehab, because I was not able to have my balance. And I'm sure even your doctor would have asked you to stand straight and close your eyes, and they would just see how much of oscillation your body was making, right? Did you also have to face that?
They were actually curious about whether I could really stand or not. That was the first thing. Because the right side was paralyzed. So they told me to take a lot of time to get up, but they wanted me to do it on my own. So the first time was the most difficult, and I couldn't do it, and they had to give me support. So there were 2 of them holding me, because I'm on the heavier side, so it's difficult for me to, only one person to hold me at that time. So yeah. Rohit, I wanted to ask you something here before I go on. When you were in your rehab, were you wheeled to your rehab on the wheelchair, or did you walk into your rehab?
Well, I wanted to walk into the rehab, but before I give you an answer to that, just half an hour before they took me to the rehab, I just saw the nurse and the doctor giving my uncle a list of, material to read. Then I realized it was something like a brochure. And coming back to the question, yes, I was and I wanted to walk, but for my safety, they wheeled me into a van and I went to the rehab in that.
You spoke something about the brochure. Could you tell us what that was?
I only know there were these opening type of brochures which like an old map, and because like I shared with you, I still had memory loss, and this is where my rehab would start actually, because I was unable to read. I was unable to even look and say what alphabet it was. The only 2 alphabets I could remember was A and B. That's it. And the same with numbers. I would only remember 0 and 1, probably useful for computer science engineers, right? So yeah, I couldn't read the brochures.
I guess, yeah, that must have been very difficult. I'm not sure if you were feeling how difficult it was, but I think for anybody who was around you, it must have been very difficult to see and, deal with. So, because I remember when I couldn't stand up, I could see my dad's face, melt, and he was like, I think he had that expression of, oh my God, what's happening to my daughter? I think even he didn't expect this was the extent. Although he knew what was happening, but he was very brave, and I really thank him for keeping that brave front.
I think we both are lucky, Swathi, me having my uncle and you having your father, to actually see us go through that lowest phase, I guess. And because we have such strong people, I guess that's why we are here, talking to each other and to the people around.
That's true. So Rohit, tell me, when you went into the rehab, do you have any memory of the initial days of rehab? Also, how many days were you there in rehab?
I think I was there for a month. Okay. Yes, I do remember a lot of things about the rehab. I don't know why. I guess sometimes I wish I don't remember them, but yeah. So I'll give you a brief about it. So after I was shifted from the hospital into a van, we entered the rehab area. We entered into the rehab center. I was waiting in the administration building. My uncle took all the paperwork. He took care of them. And out of nowhere, a person was standing behind me. I don't know whether it was a nurse or it was someone else, probably someone there to take me away. And after some time, I was taken to my room. And trust me, the linen was not good in this room. It was a very dull room, just a bed, a chair, and I think it might have had air conditioning. I really felt bad. I felt sad, in fact. What is this place? What am I doing here? And it took me almost 15 minutes to actually realize, okay, it's normal life right now. Okay, we are going nowhere. We have to start here. But I was clueless.
Okay. So, what did your uncle then stay back with you, or like did he leave you there at the rehab? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, after I was taken into the room, I was waiting there and I was still in the wheelchair. Nobody put me on the bed or the chair. I wanted to get out of it, but I didn't know how to use the mechanism on how to remove the, how to get the legs out. And I was strapped. And 15-20 minutes later, my uncle and I think it was the doctor at the rehab, they both walked in. The doctor greeted me and he had their assistant as well. And I was shown like, okay, this is the person who's going to take care of you during your time at the rehab. And I first wanted, can I have some water before I could answer anything? Because I was sweating and nobody had turned on the fan or the AC. And, the one stupid thing I think in foresight I can say is like, I wanted to get out of the chair, which I couldn't. And they thought like I am a bit angry at them. Then my uncle said, look, I'll get you out of the chair, relax. He had such a calming demeanor and it was like really nice. Because I was hungry actually, Swathi. I think it's in the morning around, probably it's before lunchtime, I guess. That's when I got out of the hospital. And I didn't have anything. And with the medication on me having dehydrated a lot because I wasn't even given water, that kind of made me cranky. And I just got out of the wheelchair. And I then got into the bed. Even the bed was not right, Swathi. I think everything that I was there, I didn't like it. Because it was actually questioning me like, what next in life? Because I do have a list of things, Swati, that I want to share. Because I don't know, I just feel so anxious about that moment. So even now, 15 years later, when I look back at the whole scenario, I was like, did I really go through all of what I went through? It was very interesting. At the same time, it just tells us that if we really want to do something, if that resolve is there in you, we can get over it. So the first day in the rehab, it was just about a simple formal or informal meet and greet. So my uncle and we went into our room, but there was something very shocking. They did not allow my uncle to stay with me. So my uncle was had to literally, almost fight with them to look, I am not going to leave Rohit alone because I know I've known him since his childhood. Who is he and how he responds? And for me to get him back in track as soon as possible, I need to be there with him. And initially they were having doubts because there was not a bed in the room, Swati. My uncle literally slept on the floor. He sometimes went and slept in the couch which was outside in the admin room. So yeah, I'm going to share all of these. What all, not only me, what my uncle had to go through. Because probably when we talk to him later, you'd even know more about what he went through.
Rohit, how long did your uncle stay with you in the rehab?
Every day till I got out of it.
Okay. So, on your days in rehab, what was the first thing that you were learning?
Where do I begin, Swati? Where do I begin? First 2 days were actually the most important day for me, Swati, because in my entire life about what all has happened, those were the only 2 days where I was really low. After that, I really felt like, okay, nothing can happen, but I have to work it out. But I actually cried, Swati, for the first time in this entire ordeal. I've never cried after that about my health, but I did cry for the first time. When my uncle was around, I wouldn't cry. But when he was not around, I was like, what is happening with me? Why am I unable to even tell my own name properly? That's when I realized, okay, I have to give into it completely and really have faith and also trust in the people who are trying to help me. And yeah, that's how the first 2 days of the rehab were really bad, Swati. I don't even know what I did. But third day was the real changing factor because I was asked to come out of my room and obviously my medication was going on with all the checking of my blood thickness. They used to have a scratch and get some blood sample out, take it and give me the medicine accordingly, the dosage. So I was taken to this room when there was nobody. It was a very huge room. So the sister who was trying to help me out, so not the sister, we would call them the therapist who was trying to help me out. So she just got few blocks and she just asked me to assemble them. And I was trying to, but then I realized after the first few minutes I was not able to. But now when I look back at the same thing, she was used to give that every day, once in the morning, once in the evening. After the third day, when I realized if I put it in order, it was the shape of a pyramid. Okay. And there was next challenge is she asked me to tell me the colors at each level of the pyramid. And I could only remember this color yellow. Okay. I still remember it was the color yellow. I can vouch for that. And other colors I was not able to. And after that, it went for lunch. Then I'd go back to my room. From the fourth day, I was given books. I was given books about alphabets. These were those books, that you give to a kid from UKG to first class, wherein all the alphabets are very big in the size they fit into the entire paper. So I was asked, take a pencil and go along the lines. So I used to do that, and also numbers. And there used to be this sheet wherein they asked me to do coloring. One sheet was only for yellow, one for red. So that way they were actually trying to make my memory come back. But the first 10 days, all I did was writing alphabets and then using numbers. They would jumble the numbers. These are the small blocks. They want me to pick a number, put it somewhere. So luckily my dexterity was there. So I'd pick from my left hand, give it to my right hand and keep it there. And you know what they tried to do is, okay, speak the number that is left over. Spell it out. I would not able to smell, but I would just say, for example, if 5 was there, I would say 5 and I'd show my 5 fingers. So that's how I used to do it. So that improvement was slow, but the best part was it was steady. And apart from this, they also wanted me to go for an evening walk with my uncle, but this was inside the campus, inside.
So, you earlier had mentioned about some balance issues. During the rehab, do you remember when got over the balance issues?
Yeah, the balance issue for the first 2-3 days when I was actually very low, I did have it. But the third day when I actually wanted to go to the washroom, uh, my uncle, I used to hold his hand and go, but I would hold on to the wall and walk back. Because my uncle was like very clear on his instruction, like, look, it's not that I'll hold on to your hand every day of every year coming ahead. You have to stand back on your own. That was the motto he was giving it to me. And I was like, why is this man not helping me? But now I realized, like, okay, because that push was there from his side, so I'd hold on to the wall, walk to the bed, and then relax.
So, Rohit, just to go back to your point about you were doing alphabets. So, what came after the alphabets? Like, how much time did it take you to make words or even sentences?
Words, Swathi, how many alphabets you want in a word? I could only use 2-letter words. And even if there is a big word, which I would always make mistakes in spelling them, before even going there, Swati, the therapist who was with me, she would properly spend a good 2 to 3 hours with me. Me, my uncle, and she were always there. They would notice, and I remember they used to discuss, okay, today he's done this compared to yesterday. I think she had some chart in her hand wherein she would write down something, so that it's probably, she was maintaining a book about my success and my failures with regards to what I'm trying to do today. And then there were these days wherein slowly and steadily from 2-letter words I moved to 3-letter words, and from 3-letter word to 4-letter word. But then there was a halt. I was not able to go to the 5-letter words. And even my name, that's why I would only write 4 alphabets. So the first 4 alphabets in my name. And numbers, I was able to put numbers up to, I think, 99, because I only knew 2 of everything. But yeah, the good thing here was I was actually excited to do them. I was actually waiting. I think the block thing helped me a lot, because she would show sphere, she would show a pyramid, then she would show a cuboid. Yeah, I didn't know it's cuboid then, but now I can say it's a cuboid. So I was excited for that. So I was also excited to go back to my room. And here there was still a couple of challenges, Swati. I was still not able to eat on my own, because they would give this tray wherein there was few fruits. You wouldn't have rice there, Swati. And no roti also. So the food was different here. And they were asking me to eat with a spoon or a fork, which my uncle said no to a fork, because it might be a bit dangerous if he slips or if he's unable to hold it properly. It might be an injury. So I was trying to eat with my hand, which I couldn't actually. Even though there was dexterity, I didn't know to place it properly in my mouth. So I might sometimes put it near my nose, near my ear. Now we know, when we look back, that it kind of is like weird. But for me, that was important there, and I was unable to. So my uncle would feed me. Every time I use this word uncle, I don't know, I might probably call him something better, because it was like a magic wand, that was trying to help me. Because now, no matter how much I thank him, it's not comparable to anything. Because I would love to share more about my uncle. In fact, I would love to bring him as well to give his perspective. But I would just want to continue what I was doing in the rehab next.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important to have pillars of strength right next to you, because otherwise, who will tell you now do it? It's not something like there is a regime that you had to come into, and you have to come back to your senses. And I think your uncle was amazing at that. So, yes, please definitely do invite him here so we can have more conversations about what you were doing wrong or right over there.
This brings us to the end here, but to be continued into the next episode of our rehab conversations. And once again, we would like to thank everyone who has been listening. We look forward to hearing from you. We are Rewired, and remember, it's not a race.